Week five, what vestiges of progressivism can we see politically, economically, and socially in our modern lives? Which of our present day political processes, laws, institutions, and attitudes have roots in this era, and why have they had such staying power? Um, I think that most of what we read about, I feel like I recognize in today's society. A few of the things that kind of have stuck out to me were um, early in presidency, um, it seemed like the public didn't have a whole lot of say in how presidents were chosen. And it seems like in this era, they really began to give the country. Um, More of a voting power. So they created the voting system with the primary and things like that, um, rather than just having a small group of delegates choose a candidate. And it's kind of evolved into what we see today when we are voting for president. And I believe states still kind of have the option of doing it slightly different. And so we see a little bit of that in our state voting as well. Um, And I think we just get to participate a little bit more and um, feel like we have more of a say or what we're saying is being heard. And then I noticed through the reading that there were certain acts that were passed that have led to the creation of certain administrations that are more meant to oversee and make sure that the country was going to be healthy or safe and secure, things like that. So, looking back and at the creation of the National Child Labor Committee, that was the beginning of child labor laws and how that's changed through now, just from preventing interstate trade for child labor to now we have all these child labor laws. You have to be a certain age to have a certain type of job and things like that. Um, and really just the safety of our children. Also the safety of us as adults in the working field. And there were times where people were locked in buildings and rooms because they wanted to make sure that the work was getting done. And now um, that's not allowed due to events in history that have created the need for these laws. The people being locked in a room, a fire occurring, and them not being able to get out, and multiple people dying. Now we have uh, fire safety um, codes that must be followed for people to be in a workplace um, and work safely and have access to being able to work safely. Um, Also, things like the FDA. It started in the early 1900s because um, a group of people, yellow journalists, I think is what they were called, were calling out things that needed to be looked at, make things better for people. So the first Meat Inspection Act of 1906 required meat to be inspected, required it to be graded at a certain level, depending on the quality. And then the Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906, requiring labels to be on all food and drug products. We still see that today. And then things like national parks. Early on, with expansion and everything going on, President Roosevelt felt the need to protect parts of our land, making sure that it was preserved. So now we have, or he created the U.S. Forestry Service, and now we have access to national parks that are protected by the federal government. So a lot of those things that kind of carry forward, but were developed uh, during that time. Um, Really interesting. Um, so I think I say that every week, and every week I think I've learned something or relearned something. And now being an adult, it really kind of sticks with me a little bit differently.